Good morning.
Good morning, Swami.
Om Asatoma Sadgamayo Tamasoma Jyotirgamayo Mrityurma Amritangamayo. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. Lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness to light. Lead us from death to immortality. Om. Peace, peace, peace. The subject of my today's talk is glimpses from Dhammapada. Tomorrow we shall be celebrating the birthday of Lord Buddha. And he is considered to be one of the avatars, incarnation of God according to Hinduism. Though we did not believe in Hinduism, but Hindus believe him that he is an incarnation of God. That is very strange. But definitely he was one of the most important spiritual figure of the world. There is no doubt about that. And even today, millions of people follow him by being Buddhists. That means totally immersed into Buddha's teaching and consider themselves to be followers of Buddha. And also there are admirers. That means those who are not officially Buddhist, they also immensely admire him and definitely follow him in many respects and definitely preach his teachings, which are really beneficial for all of the humanity. In that way, we see, especially I know about our Bengali literature, where we find that Rabindranath Tagore, he was a great admirer of Lord Buddha, and he composed many poems, many songs, many dramas, and pertaining to the life of Lord Buddha. And of course, there are followers of Buddha in India, but their number is very little. That means maybe 2% of the population are considered to be Buddhist. There are Buddhists in Bangladesh also, especially in the southeast part of the Bangladesh. There is a state called Chattogram. There is a large number of Buddhists, Bengali Buddhists. And what to say about the rest of the Asia, large number of followers of Buddhism are there. Of course, Buddhism has changed according to the local customs and conventions, but the main principles, main spiritual teachings remain the same. They have been translated into the local vernaculars, and in that way they are being taught. And some of them are taught just as a lesson, and some of them are taught as almost like a state religion. Especially in Sri Lanka, there is always a conflict between Buddhists and Hindus because Buddhists feel that this is our country. They are so strong, even politically, that they feel that Hinduism is inferior. That is a matter of political thing, but the point is that there is a large number of people who completely believe in Buddhism, and definitely they try to preach and teach Buddhism. And Buddha was the first missionary of the world. Missionary in a sense, they used to convert to their own religion, people of other religion. So he officially is the first missionary of the world. He converted Hindus, not only Hindus, but there are other tribal people also. They also got converted into Buddhism, and in that way, during the time of Lord Buddha's life, Buddhism spread all over India, especially in northern India, immensely. And his popularity actually gained, and out of that momentum, Buddhism lived in India for a long time, maybe about 1,000 years. Buddha was born about 500 years before Christ, and till the Muslims came. Muslims came, or you can say up to the Shankaracharya, that means 800 after Christ. Buddhism was the predominant religion of India. That means whole India was, whole India followed Buddhism. And in that way, we can find historically, archaeologically, and also literally many evidence of Buddhist teachings and Buddha's what is called sculpture and some things related to his life and teachings. They are all spread all over India. There was a king, his name was Ashoka. He was just 100 or 200 years after Buddha, and he was instrumental in spreading Buddhism not only in India but all over the world, especially in the northern and eastern part of Asia. Also south, of course, from India, the south section is just ocean, only Ceylon is there. Ceylon means Sri Lanka, but definitely eastern part and northern part is very important, where he sent emissaries and they learned and taught Buddhism. And not only that, they were so influenced that they used to send their scholars to India to study Buddhist literature and Buddhism, and in that way they brought the religion to their own country. We see in that way whatever remains, especially from the point of view of the literature or teachings of Buddhism, is mostly preserved surprisingly in China, in present China. So they actually hold the treasure of spiritual literature of Buddhism. We may think that it is very surprising that in India they are not there, but from India it is not exactly they expelled, but popularity actually decreased. There are two reasons. First is that Hinduism was reformed by Shankaracharya. As Swami Vivekananda has said, each religion actually declines after 1,000 years. That means it rises and then it falls down. In all religions we will find this type of cycle is there. That means rise and fall, then rise, then fall. In that way things go on. Fall means, that means in the name of religion, things are taught which are not really useful or beneficial spiritually. You can continue to do rituals and visit temple, go to pilgrimage, places of pilgrimage, and in the name of eating prasad, you just have feasts and all those things. And also those who are priests, in the name of importing religion, actually they not extort, but they long for money and they become rich. And these are the negative side of the religion. Religion essentially is the practice, and by practice one should benefit. Benefit means those who believe in liberation, for them attainment of liberation, but definitely spiritual progress, and also it should bring peace of mind, and there should be discipline in life by which actually one can enjoy life in a proper way. So these things decline, and when this decline came, we see in Hinduism, in Buddhism, when the decline came, Shankaracharya actually reformed. Reform in a sense that means he repressed Hinduism. He was very strong in intellect and also in arguments. And in those days, conversion used to happen not by sword, but by what is called deliberations. That means if you have a following, say 100,000 people, and there is another teacher is there who has another 2,000 people follower, and what they do not try to what is called kill or subdue the opposite members of the opposite party or opposite religion, but they sit together. That means just like a deliberation. That means probably it is like a great meeting place, a great hall where the followers come together, and their teachers actually argue. Argue means they put questions and their answers are given, and in that way there are also what is called a sort of there are what is called judges. They will say, yes, this person has won the what is called deliberation. So what happens? The person who actually loses loses in the deliberation, the whole following and he himself becomes converted into the religion of the winner. So in that way, conversion used to take place in ancient India. And Shankaracharya is very proficient in that, and he reconverted the Buddhist into Hinduism, large number. And also he established Hinduism on a very strong footing. And he introduced a reformed type of worship all over India. Temples were renovated and scriptures were reinterpreted appropriately. And in that way he left a legacy of his teaching, and which remained for a long time. Then of course then Muslims came, who were really, as you know, violent, and Hinduism got subdued. Some people got converted, but it was not that all Hindus got converted into Islam. It was not possible, but it remained subdued. But definitely during that time, many Hindu teachers and spiritual personalities appeared, and they maintained the spirit of Shankaracharya throughout. Then came the what is called this Western rule, British, and also Christianity. That also we see it was faced, and now as we see that Hinduism is quite what is called strong, and it is really accepted, and teachings are really appreciated, and philosophically, and those who are really scholars, they like it, and in that way it is really progressing. So whatever it may be, in this way we see that religion has its own cycle. That is the most important part, and Buddhism also is to some extent rising. Many people in the West like Buddhism, and in that way they are also embracing Buddhism that we see. Now the Buddhism, as we know, was started by Lord Buddha. He was a prince, and then he renounced and then had his realization. That means he was a person who wanted to wipe out sorrows from this world. That was his mission, and he searched for it, and then he found out the solution, and he preached that. So his preaching is really very simple. Simple means there is sorrow, and there is a way to relinquish sorrow, and for that he enunciated some practices which the followers followed. So that is the very simple practices that he had given. He did not go much into the argumentation or what is called philosophical things. Later on, of course, just to stand the criticism or the what is called arguments from the other scholars. There was the schools of philosophy were developed in Buddhism, but in general public actually, the teachings were really very, very simple, and it is still the same. And Buddha has his illumination at the age of, I think, about 35. And when he was married and he relinquished his princely life and became a mendicant. And then he struggled for self-realization, and then he attained to that. And then he preached for 35 to say 80 years, when he was up to the age of 80. So he had a long period of preaching. And very fortunately, he had a very good number, a large number of educated followers. And whatever he used to preach, he was very systematic. He was a prince, so he knew, it appears that he knew administration. That means how to organize things. Organization is very important for sustenance of anything. That means if you have a company, if the organization is strong, it will be sustained. That means after you pass away or for generations, it will remain. So he was very efficient in that. Very systematically, he taught his teachings, and also in a very systematic way, he preached. That means he used to move from one place to another. And in that way, several times actually he traveled the whole of the North India and had the opportunity of preaching and then converting not only ordinary people, even many kings became his followers. And when the kings become followers, naturally their subjects also become interested. They also become followers in that way. Large number of followers are there. And also he had many scholarly people amongst his disciples who used to take down his, what is called his discourses. And in that way we see what has remained now is called Tripitaka, that his teachings are has been compiled, and it has been it is still surviving. So it is said that the Tripitaka is a voluminous collection, and the intact Tripitaka is available in Chinese version, that means in Chinese texts, and it is said that its number is 13,520 scrolls. Scrolls means a sort of diary or something, pages. That means if you think of the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, probably one day's conversation of Sri Ramakrishna will form one scroll. In that way, in Buddha's case, we find 13,520 scrolls. And the preservation is like this. It is bound, it has 100 bound volumes of 1,000 pages each. So you can imagine our Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna in English is say 1,000 pages, so it is just one volume. And in case of Buddha, it is such 100 volumes of his teachings are there. Of course, you cannot imagine. It is very true that teachings are same. Many repetitions are there, but definitely they are valuable in a sense. That means under circumstances and according to the person, the teachings actually are really what is called custom made, as it is called. So in that way, they have been recorded. As you know, in Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, you will find that there are many teachings which are repeated. Of course, those who want to know or just want to browse, so they can go through the concise version, so that will give an idea. But those who want to immerse into the teachings, they need to go through the whole volume of Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Then actually they feel palpability of the teachings or presence of Sri Ramakrishna. In the same way, Buddha's disciples actually noted down everything, and they were preserved through translation. Chinese means it is translated into Chinese, because time to time from China, the kings used to send what is called emissaries. They used to come and they used to stay in the Buddhist universities, and there are scholars, and they used to copy the teachings, or they used to translate them. Then they used to carry them to their country, and there in their what is called universities or institutions of scholarship, they used to teach them. In that way, they have been preserved. Mostly they are available in intact form in China. Included in this collection are 3 volumes containing general catalogue of Tripitaka. Tripitaka is a collection, and Tripitaka means 3 baskets. That means it is a container in his three specialized teachings are there or collective teachings are there, which is very prominent. Now regarding Tripitaka, these Pitakas were handed down to this day in various editions, the oldest being the Pali and Sanskrit editions. Other editions are the Chinese and Japanese editions. Some parts have been translated into English and others European languages. So, basic teachings of Lord Buddha are contained in Tripitaka. I am saying this, other than this Tripitaka, there are other, I believe there must be other collection of his teachings, but Tripitaka is more than enough for the study of Buddhism or Buddha's teachings. So now the Pitakas are composed of 3 main divisions known as Sutra Pitaka, Vinaya Pitaka, and Abhidharma Pitaka. The original teaching of Lord Buddha was in Pali. Pali is a sort of variation of Sanskrit language. Sanskrit language is deteriorated to Pali, then to Prakrita, and then actually we have many current Indian languages, say Bengali or Hindi, or in South Indian languages. In that way, several other languages are there, which became the descendant of the original language of Sanskrit. And Buddha's time, before Buddha, probably the most of the people used to study Sanskrit or teach, literature was in Sanskrit and used to talk in Sanskrit. But during Buddha's time, that has deteriorated. That means colloquial things have got mixed into Sanskrit language, and also the pronunciations got deteriorated. So in that way, Pali was the language. And Buddha used to teach in the language of Pali, because that was the language of the ordinary people. And he was mostly concerned with the ordinary people. His process was like this. We find when he go through his life, actually he has a very routine life. That means wherever he used to go, he used to follow his own routine. The routine was like that. In the early morning, he used to get up and he used to do his meditation. And then after sunrise, he used to go to the village. The point is that he did not stay in one place for a long time. He camped for some time in one place, but he did not have a permanent residence like a monastery where actually it was headquarters, so that it was not like that. He used to move around with his retinue. That means his followers, sincere followers, used to follow him, especially the monks used to follow him, and in that way he used to camp outside the villages, prominent cities, and there he used to teach. That means probably tent used to be fixed, and the people from the city used to come at appointed time, and in that way groups of people used to come, different denominations or different professions, and in that way he used to teach them. So after morning he used to go to bake his food, and after baking food he used to come, and then after taking food, actually his session started. And there were different groups. That means one group was probably, they had the education level might be little low, so he actually taught in his his teachings were suitable for them. Then he actually taught those who are really highly educated or well-educated person or scholars. For them also there was another session. Then there was sessions for the novices. That means he used to recruit monks. So first step was a novice. So for them actually he used to have some teachings. Then he used to teach the monks also. That means those who are fully ordained monks, for them also they had teachings. So in that way, the whole day actually was divided into different sessions, and he used to teach. And not only that, we see that at night he used to meditate. He used to do his meditation, and after meditation he used to walk. And in walking, actually, what he used to do, he used to think actually how to teach people. That means how actual people can know how to get rid of sorrow. In what way it will be facilitated. So he used to give a lot of thoughts to that, and also he used to give thoughts to how to propagate his religion, how to preserve and how to spread his message. That also he used to think. And it is said that he used to sleep probably 2 hours or 3 hours every night. That was his routine. So he is a very, very hard working teacher. And as you know, he used to live a very austere life. And he had his own sevak, as it is called. Some people used to take care of him, and just to take care of his bed or whatever it may be. That's some devotees were there. And not only this, because of his influence, it is said that when Buddha became enlightened, that means when he started preaching, and he had left his father, that means he was a prince and he was supposed to be the king, owner, or the ruler of his kingdom. His father sent for him and said that now what you have wanted, you have got it, now come back and take care of this kingdom. So he said that I cannot do that, but I shall go and meet you. So he went to his native place, but he did not enter into the city. He actually camped outside. And all the people, and not only that, all his relatives also came, and many of his relatives, that means his cousins, and also what is called the ladies of the court, they also got converted, and many of them become monks also. That means they renounced and followed him. So that is a great, that shows what type of influence actually he exercised on the whole of the, on every type of people. Even his relatives, kings, were really impressed by him. So this Tripitaka, as I said, the Sutra Tripitaka contains the discourses, addresses and sermons of the Buddha dealing with the method of salvation for the laity. Laity means the ordinary devotees. That means those who are not really monks, and probably they have their own professions to follow. So in that way, they belong to that class. For them actually, there are teachings which contain into the book called Sutra Pitaka. Then there is the Vinaya Pitaka, which contains the moral standards to be observed by the priests. That means those who are teachers, those who actually maintain the, what is called the places of meditation and such other places. Priest means he did not introduce any ritualistic worship of any godhead, because he did not believe in the Hindu gods. So in his temple or in his places of worship, there is nothing. Later on actually we see that Buddha's statues has started being placed, because ordinary people cannot really what is called think of something which do not have any form. So for the sake of their convenience, Buddha's statues started to be installed, and they used to worship. Or worship means that means some offerings, incense, food, and fruits and such other things, lamb and such other things are offered. So in that way, it started to be practiced. So the Vinaya Pitaka contains the moral standards to be observed by the priest and the various rules and conduct of the order. So it seems that it is an exclusive teachings for the teachers. Priests are also guides and teachers, and also there are monks who are also great teachers. That means they have renounced. So their category is different. So for them, how to live, what to follow, and in every aspect of their lives, he has his teachings, and they are collected there. Then there is the Abhidharma Pitaka, contains the metaphysics and the philosophy of Buddhism. Time to time, Buddha might have talked about the philosophy, what is his religion, and had conversations with the what is called pandits. So naturally that part also is collected there. So these are the three parts that is there in his book, in these three pitakas, that means three baskets. Now then there is the last one is called the Sutra Tiva. The first one, as I call it, Sutta Pitaka, it has got 5 divisions. That means that bigger volume, so then actually there are divisions. And they are like this, which is known as, they are called Nikayas. And they are Digha Niyaka, Majjhima Niyaka, Samyukta Niyaka, and Anugatta Niyaka, and Khuddaka Niyaka. Niyaka means subdivision. So chapters probably will be the appropriate word in English. Then in Khuddaka Niyaka there are subsections, that means booklets. These booklets, there are 16 booklets, and one of them is called Dhammapada. So you can see how small is the book Dhammapada considered to be Buddha's, what is called, contribution of teachings. So it is just a gist of gist, you can say, of his teachings. And this is the basic book, or the cream of cream, you can say, cream of creams, you can say, of Buddha's teachings. So Khuddaka Niyaka has 16 booklets. One of them is Dhammapada, and it means words of that doctrine. Dhamma means the religion in general, that means teachings, spirituality, and a collection of 423 stanzas which are called gathas. Gathas means it is 2-line or 3-line verses, and it is arranged into 26 bhagavas. That means in subject wise, 26 subject, and in that way they are composed. And this is not actually original teaching as such, but it is a collection of his original teaching. That means from the teachings, some quote has been taken up, and in that way they have been collected. And in that way this book is a collection of his teachings. You know, those who are aware of a series that we have, Thus Spake Ramakrishna, Thus Spake Buddha, Thus Spake Holy Mother Sarada Devi, Thus Spake. There is a series of Thus Spake. So it is a sort of Thus Spake of Buddhism. Of course, we have a Thus Spake of Buddha which is still shorter, but in general we can just give an idea what is the subject matter or what is the content of this Dhammapada. We can say that is a collection of 423 teachings, selected teachings of Lord Buddha, and they have been collected from 299 stories. In fact, there are copies of Dhammapada where the references are also there, because the references are scattered in the what is called in pitakas. So one may be interested to know, when actually, where actually, to whom actually Buddha has given this teaching. So they can actually refer to that those contexts. You know, in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, our aim, that means Mahanarad Gupta, was very particular about the place, whether Sri Ramakrishna was in Dakshineswar, whether Sri Ramakrishna was in other sense house, or Sri Ramakrishna was in Manihati. So in that way, location of the place where Sri Ramakrishna was present, that is given. Then comes in which date. Date means it is an English date as well as the what is called Bengali date, including the tithis. That means the lunar positions are also mentioned. These are actually, that gives the not only authority, probably it will not be necessary for those who are really sincere seekers, that means those who want to follow the teachings. For them it may not be very important, but definitely for the authority. That means if there is a reference, actually it adds to the authority of the teachings. So in that way, then also in the conversation of Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, we find whether he is teaching to Narendra, or whether he is talking to Adhar Chandra Sen, or whether he is teaching to what is called M. So in that way, the person to whom actually Sri Ramakrishna is talking, those things are also there. So in the same way, we see there is references of those contexts in Dhammapada. Of course, in all the translations that is not available, but definitely in the scholarly editions of Dhammapada that can be had. I fortunately got one book in my what is called collection. This is a collection from Swami Swadhanji Maharaj. So he had one Bengali collection, which is in that the author has compared the teachings of Lord Buddha with the Bhagavad Gita. That means corresponding teaching, how actually they compare. So there is a parallel quotations of Dhammapada's teachings with Lord Krishna's teaching. In that way they have come. So now I usually use one translation which is very simple and it is a very current also. That means translations actually vary. Why they vary? Vary because the current usage of the language. Because if the language is too old, it is very difficult to understand for the people who are later generation. So naturally translations need to be up to date to the current usage. So in that way, this Dhammapada's translation is really very good and it is very understandable. So this translation has been done by a monk. He is from Sri Lanka. He was a very well-known teacher and he visited this country also. That means some of our monastic members have met him also, and I am pretty sure that he is no more. His name is Ananda Maitreya. The Dhammapada, the Path of Truth, translated by Ananda Maitreya and revised by an editor, Rose Kramer. So in that way, this book has been published in this country. That means it has been published here. Omni Foundation. So there are 26, as I told you, that there is 26 bhagavas, that means chapters. And the subjects are like this: mindfulness, then mind, then the fool, the wise, the adhan, monk, then there are evil, then the old age, then self, the world, the Buddha, then happiness, and then pleasant, anger, righteous, the way, the elephant, craving, the bhukha, and the noble one. The noble one is the last chapter, 26 Bhagavad, as it is called. So we shall read from selected verses from that, we shall read tomorrow when we celebrate Lord Buddha's birthday. So let me share some of the teachings in the language in which actually Dhammapada is written. It is, as I told you, in Pali language, and it is. I shall give you the translation also. So it is Yatha garam succannam buddhi na samiti vijujjati evam subhavitam chittam rago na samiti vijujjati. It is Chamak Varga, that means the first one, that means the twins. The first chapter is twins in that way. So meaning is, as rains fails to pour through a well-thatched house, so does desire fail to penetrate the well-developed mind. Very simple. That means if the mind developed means what? Developed means, that means if somebody has control over his mind, actually he will be able to control the desires also. That means just like rain fails to penetrate to the well-thatched. In his time there is no concrete, what is called roof, or the type of roof that we have. If it is not concrete, there are many types of what is called roofs that are available just to prevent rains to enter into the room. So in the same way, in ancient times, thatched houses, because at that time even corrugated sheets were not available. That means though iron was there, but it was not common to have sheets of iron. So they used to cover with straw or probably some tiles, that means baked tiles made from baked earth they used to use. So he is saying, well-thatched house, from the roof of the well-thatched house, the water cannot penetrate. So in the same way, if the mind is strong, developed, then actually desires will not really disturb them. That will not penetrate into the mind. Of course, by desire, he means that many desires were unnecessary. Some desires, as Krishna has, good desires are also there, which needs to be cultivated. Good desires means to be good spiritual or anything which actually enhances spirituality. That type of pursuit is good till we actually reach the goal. So this is the one from the Jamak Bhagavad. Then there is Appamad Bhagavad. That means this is what is called chapter, let me see, second chapter actually, and verse 21. Appamado amato padam, pamado muchana padam, appamatta namiyanti, ye pamatta yathamato. So this means mindfulness is the path to immortality. Negligence is the path to death. The vigilant never die, whereas the negligent are the living dead. So this is very simple and understandable. You can understand how simple was his teachings. Mindfulness is the path to immortality. That means if somebody takes care of the mind, that means mind is the source of misery. Mind is the source of what is called spirituality also, liberation also. As we know, Buddha actually controlled his mind. That means all the thoughts that were disturbing him, he actually sat in a place, what is called making a vow that unless I fully control my mind and discover the truth, actually I shall not get up from this place. That means mindfulness means that meditation is the process by which we actually concentrate our mind. So anything that we want to achieve is really done with the help of the mind. Of course, not the physical thing, that means there is apramatva also, that means lack of mindfulness, through which actually what we do really leads us to ruin, we can say. Ultimately, until and unless we have a check on our mind, then actually until and unless it is done, it will not be possible to what is called gain immortality. So negligence is the path to death. Negligence means negligence of the mind. First, the mind needs to be controlled. And if you do not control the mind, if we allow the mind to go here and there and just test that different types of thoughts and anything that is coming through our senses, that actually is negligence. Any discrimination, without any discrimination, if we apply our mind or use our mind, that will be negligence. The vigilant never die. Vigilant means those who are practicing mindfulness, those who are watchful, how they are employing their mind. That means what is coming to the mind, something needs to be rejected, we reject that. What needs to be kept, that we keep. That is the part of the vigilance. And whereas the negligent are the living dead. That is a sort of very, what is called, interesting word, living dead. That means they are as good as dead, though they are what is called heart is palpitating, because they are good for nothing. That is the point. That means from the spiritual point of view. Then there is this Chitta Bhagavad, which is third chapter, and it has been translated as mind itself. Dunnig Gahasya Lahuna Jatha Kama Nipatino Chittasya Damatha Sadhu Chittam Dantam Sukhavaham. Control of thought, which is difficult to restrain, fickle, which wanders at will, is good. A tamed mind is the bearer of happiness. This is the instruction of the importance of control of the mind. That means this is the control of the thought, which is difficult to restrain. That means thoughts actually, as you know, those who have practiced meditation or practicing meditation are really uncontrollable. That means we do not know how this thought is coming and when what thought will come. We cannot really predict. We cannot really what is called, there is no premonition of what type of thoughts will come. So this is in fickle means useless. That means some thoughts we do not know. We don't have any use of that type of thought at this point, but they come and disturb. Which wanders at will is good. That means those who control that type of thought, it is very good. It is a continuation of what he has said earlier. That is quite evident. Then he said, the tamed mind is the bearer of happiness. The mind is tamed, automatically happiness will come. Actually, happiness is a quality of the mind. That means if the mind is not happy, we are not happy. And if the mind is happy, even if we are sick, we are happy. That is the point. Physically, of course, there is a little relationship. If you are really utterly sick, then it will be difficult to feel happiness. But definitely, in general, if we are always perturbed by some sort of illness or a light type of illness, but if the mind is happy, actually, and if mind is controlled, we are definitely happy. That is the point. There is no doubt about that. Then there is Jara Bhaggo. Jara Bhaggo means old age. That is 11th chapter, which has been, it is actually 11 means it is 11, yes, old age. So he is saying, Gahakaraka Dittosi Punogeham na kahosi Sabbate Dasuko Bhaga Gahakutam Visankhitam Visankhara Gatam Chittam Tanhanam Khaya Madhyaja. It is, those who have read little bit of Sanskrit, you will find that it has some similarity in the intonation because it is a distortion of Sanskrit. But those who know Sanskrit, for them, learning Pali is really easy, I have heard. That means it does not take much effort to learn because it is a sort of distorted Sanskrit. So the meaning, what is this? The first verse uttered by Buddha after his attainment of Nirvana. This is the first verse. First verse means, as you know, Buddha attained his Nirvana at Buddha Gaya, which is near outskirts of well-known place of pilgrimage, Gayadham. That is a very ancient place. As you know, our Sri Ramakrishna's father went there, and all Hindus go there for the offering of doing the last rites of the departed souls. And Buddha actually did not enter into that city, but he selected a place in the outskirt forest, and that what is called, he had his illumination, so that he tested his nirvana. So then actually he wanted to share that, so he started walking towards west. Gayadham is towards Kolkata, you can say. It is not near Kolkata, but near one night's journey from Kolkata towards west. And then from further west is, on the Ganges, is Varanasi. And Varanasi at that time was the seat of learning, great place of trade. And many scholarly people used to live there, and people used to go there for their education. So he thought that if I start preaching there, it will be good. And as I told you that he never entered into the city for preaching, so he stayed in a place called Mrigodaho. Mrigodaho means deer park. Probably it was a sort of recreational place. Just we have here what is called parks. So in that park actually he sat there. And then some people who came for taking their morning walk saw him, and they were impressed by his countenance itself. That means they were so much impressed by him, they thought he must be a very spiritual person. Then actually they asked something to be taught to them. Then he opened his lips. He said, "How many lives, how many rounds of rebirth have I experienced without finding the builders of this house? Now I see you, O builder. All of your rafters are broken. Your rich pole is shattered. Never again need you build a house for me." He is talking about his own body. That means in this body actually he has a realization, and he is saying that he has conquered his desires. There is no desire for for the advancement of his life. So this is shared. That means this is the result of his realization. So the point is this, that means in that way, life means sorrow. As Buddha has very clearly and emphatically said, it is not pessimism as such, but it is logical. That means if we follow his arguments, we shall see that there is no hollow in his argument, that life is full of sorrow. We have happiness, but happiness never lasts. Very recently, I can tell you one thing. We have Krishna Statue, you know. This Krishna Statue attracts people, especially those who are devotees of Lord Krishna. And in Sacramento area, there is no such statue. There are temples where Krishna's statue might be there, are there. Husband and wife. Husband works in the state, and wife is a dentist. She just passed, came out of the dental school and was just starting her practice. And ultimately, she started practicing and became quite well established. And now, after 20 years, actually, I saw her just a few days ago. And she said, that Swami, I have come today, I'm very unhappy. I'm full of sorrow. Why? Because my husband had sold my house. Why? Because we had the house on a 6-acre plot in Granite Bay. A big house. She showed me the picture. That means the palatial house. See, by hard work, she earned so much money that she had the opportunity of enjoying that house. She said that I housed that bill. Every point, everything of the house, I actually selected after my mind and what was my liking, what was my desire, all those things I applied in that way. That house was my dream house. But now, suddenly the house has been sold. And I know, because the good market, now the money we got. And our children has grown up. One, I think probably one is working, another actually is finishing his college. So there is no necessity of a bigger house. It is a botheration and hard work to maintain such a big house. That also I understand. That means I am not really against the selling that house. But the point is that after selling the house, actually I am full of pain. That means I don't know how to express it. And she actually started crying. That means she was wiping her eyes. I know that that house is too big for me, but I had such attachment to that house that I cannot really bear it. Now today I have come to pray to what is called Lord Krishna, so that I can get a peace of mind. So the point is this type of thing, this attachment, desire actually is so, we theoretically understand. That means what we have to do is appropriate and also rational, but still the attachment remains so deep that we can bear it. So that is why he is saying that what is my mind has gone beyond the transitory, the condition, and has achieved the extinction of craving. So that is actually his first. That means if we can really end the craving or get out of the what is called, understand that craving is the source of all our sorrow, then actually we shall be able to attain Nirvana. That means great peace of mind. Then there is a fifth one. Fifth one is this from Buddha Bhagavad. Buddha Bhagavad, of course, is 14th chapter. And Buddha, that means Sabba Papasya Akarana Kusalasya Upasampada Satchitta Pariyodapana Etam Buddhanu Sasanam. To shun all evil, to do good, to purify one's heart. This is the teaching of the Buddha. This is a very simple teaching. To shun all evil, to do good, to purify one's heart. This is the teaching of the Buddha. So these are the some of the teachings that we find very pithy, as it is called, very direct. And also, it is not that only Buddhists need to follow it. Actually, it is beneficial for anybody in any walk of life who has come to senses at least. That means those who are still in the stage of enjoyment, where thinking the life is really full of what is called all bright things and all the unending bright and enjoyable. So for them it is not, it may be a little bit depressing, but those have been come to maturity, seeing the life or experience the life, that is there any way to get out of this, what is called suffering, or out of this boredom, if you call it. All these teachings are really very helpful. And as I told you, there are books that I have, I have found that definitely if we corroborate, we find the teachings of Lord Buddha can be corroborated with the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, what Lord Krishna has said. Probably in a later time also we have many teachings that have come, says Sri Krishna's teachings also are there, then Shankaracharya's teachings are also there. They will not really contradict their teachings, that is the point. So in that way, Dhammapada is a very simple book, and it is very, what is called, handy, and by reading and following a few of his teachings, we can really get peace of mind, at least, if we not, say, we may not get Nirvana just now, but definitely peace of mind that we are really craving for always, that can be achieved or attained by reading this beautiful book. Next Sunday, that is on May 22nd, Swami Ishwananda will give a talk on the lamp of wisdom. And we shall celebrate Lord Buddha's birthday tomorrow in the evening at 7:30 p.m. with meditation, worship, and devotional singing. And after that, prasad refreshments will be there. And tomorrow there is a group, Hindu group, they will bring one exhibition of posters, and that will be displayed on our loggia. A little bit brief introduction or brief description of Hinduism that they have prepared, and they thought those who are interested, they can see. So I gave them the permission to display that. So that will be parallel. That means they will start probably around 6:30, display that, and after worship service also it will be there, so we can have a look to that display. Then on Wednesday there will be no class of Raja Yoga, that is on May 18th. And Friday, Ishwadhananda will give a class of Narada Bhakti Sutra on Zoom only. And Saturday there will be no discourse of the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, that is on Saturday, May 21st. Om Madhuvataritāyapi Madhuksharanti Sindhavah Madhi Irno Santoshadhihi Madhunakto Mutoshasi Madhumat Parthivogam Rajaha Madhudaurastuna Pita Madhumanna Vanaspatihi Madhumagam astu suryaha ma dhirgavo bhavantu naha. Om Madhu, Madhu, Madhu. Sweet be the winds and the oceans give forth blessedness. May the herbs and plants bring us health and happiness. Sweet unto us be the nights and dawns. May every particle of Mother Earth be charged with blessings. May the heavens shower us with benediction. Sweet unto us be the noble forest trees. Sweet unto us be the shining sun. Sweet unto us be the all-living creation. Om, sweetness, harmony, peace.